Unstoppable by design. We talking health and talking fitness, talking life and talking nutrition. Way more than looks and aesthetics. Gotta tune in and don't miss it. Hey, go, gotta go harder, taking it higher, bringing that info here to inspire. Juggernaut Fitness, bringing that fire. Hey, go.
Let's go. Welcome to Unstoppable by Design, where we talk all things fitness, mindset, and what it means to truly be unstoppable inside and outside the gym. I'm Matt Terry, and today we're turning confusing body numbers into a clear training roadmap. Joining me is Anna Terry, co-owner of Juggernaut Fitness, and my wife, to unpack body composition the practical way, what skeletal muscle mass, or SMM, really means, and how to interpret body fat percentage, why visceral fat matters for long-term health, and how to use your InBody results to actually sculpt your plan. If you've ever stared at a scale or skinfold caliper reading and wondered, so now what? This is the episode. So let's dive in. Anna, how are you?
Great. The same thing every time you ask.
That's our energy today. Great. So Anna, in plain English, what's the difference between body weight and body composition, and why should our members care?
So for me, your body weight is literally the number that you see when you step on a scale. It's all encompassing every component of you into one number. Body composition is that number broken down into the individual aspects of your body. So your fat, your water weight, your lean mass, your skeletal mass, all of that. So you know exactly where that weight is coming from. I think that's important for our members to pay attention to, because the standard scale is a B word, if you know what I'm saying.
Whoa.
Because I just think it's just one piece of the puzzle, you know, and like I think like so many of us have grown up thinking that, I would say from a woman's perspective, that I'm supposed to weigh like 115 pounds and that's the number that should be on the scale. But that's not the real picture. What you really want to look at from a state of you being healthy is your composition, because you can see somebody who weighs 115 pounds but has minimal muscle on their body. From our definition, that's not healthy, because they're not going to be able to get up off of a chair when they're 45. They're probably not going to be able to recover as well from injuries or from health episodes without enough muscle on their body. Meanwhile, you can have someone who's the same height, be 130 pounds, be the same size, and they got abs, or they got quads for days, something, you know what I mean? Like biceps. And they're going to be a person who overcomes injury, health issues significantly better, and is probably going to be that person running circles in the nursing home at 80.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. So I guess, what is skeletal muscle mass, and how is it different than lean body mass?
Your skeletal muscle mass is like your actual muscle. It's attached to the bone, hence the skeletal muscle mass piece. Where your lean body mass is basically everything except for fat. So that includes your organs, your bones, your muscle, all that jazz.
Okay. Why is it a huge deal for aging well? Thinking about like strength, balance, metabolism, and overall independence.
Having muscle.
But yeah.
Why is that? Like I was kind of alluding to earlier, like muscle is, I would say, like your best protector. And I also kind of look at it like a savings account. So like, speaking for especially my own experience lately of like being injured, how much muscle I have lost through this injury is pretty substantial. I think I'm up to like 11 pounds, because I've been doing this for 2 years now, of muscle lost. But I still have a decent amount of muscle on my body, thank God, because I built up that savings account. I had a large amount of muscle on my body. And I think it's like helping me still be able to do things that people with my injury typically can't do. So I'm living a life that most probably couldn't, you know, had they not been in my shoes. So when we think about like, what were the pieces you said?
Like strength, balance, metabolism, or independence.
Okay, so like from an independence perspective, like no matter what age you're at, an injury is going to find you at some point in life, and it's probably going to happen when you least expect it to. Like that's going to be really important to have muscle in your body to manage through that, and hopefully not overcompensate so much that you create more injuries. From a balance perspective, again, having more muscle on your body is going to help protect your joints and other parts of your bodies, right? So you usually have better balance from it because you're more stable in how you move. You could typically move through better or full range of motion as well if you're gaining strength in a good, I shouldn't say a good way, but like you're not just doing bicep curls for days. You're doing more of like a functional approach to your fitness. You'll maintain your range of motion, which will be important for your balance as well. And then as far as metabolism goes, man, that muscle needs fuel. So your body gets working, that fire gets roaring. So your metabolism is usually a notch or two above as well. And it's looking to be fed.
Yep. Need to fuel the gains.
Yes.
All right. Well, we use the InBody, specifically the 570 model for scanning. How does this bioimpedance scan compare to calipers, especially for people with pliable or loose skin where pinches can be inconsistent?
So I think it's just that, right? The inconsistencies, especially with pliable skin. So like you, for example, it makes it challenging to grab the right stuff. Let's just say that. And it's also like you're literally measuring just like skin, not fat, not subcutaneous fat. Where like, and the further inconsistencies too are like if you have different people doing it, the amount they grab probably varies from person to person. And within a single individual, I can't guarantee that I'm grabbing exactly 2 inches of skin and subcutaneous fat every time in the same exact spot every time I do calipers. So there's just tons of room for human error and variance in using calipers, regardless of if you have that pliable skin or not. And then the InBody is just consistent. Like you step on it, its machine does what it does every time. Really the only variables are like if you are like, hey, I just ate an entire meal 2 minutes ago and I'm hopping on the scale. That's going to skew some things. But the good news is we know how to look at the results if that is communicated to us and understand the impact. Whereas the calipers, you can't tell. Like you don't know if you're not consistent to the last pinch or not.
Yeah.
But you can very clearly have a conversation around the InBody and find that in your results and speak to it.
Yeah, like the InBody itself is a very consistent tool where if you're doing your measurements through there, the inconsistencies are usually generated by person. Like you said, like what did you eat before, or did you work out right before? Is it a different time of day from your last scan? That type of thing, because all those factors do matter. And if you were to pick one over the other, skin calipers or InBody for, let's say your go-to, which would it be?
I would definitely do the InBody.
Yeah.
And it just gives so much more information too. Like
truth. Yeah.
It really, especially like the one we have does a segmental breakdown. So you can look and you can see muscular imbalances. You can see like, am I storing fat more in one area than the other? That might lead to something hormonal happening. Like you can really pick up a ton more about what's going on through the InBody, where I would say the calipers like paint a decent picture, but there's just so much inconsistency that comes with it, and it doesn't break down everything that's going on.
Yeah, I actually want to dive into that. What you said a little bit was there's that part with the segmental lean analysis. How do you use that to spot possible or upcoming maybe muscular imbalances?
So there's actually, I guess, like an equation around it that will tell you the arms and legs are slightly different, but your arms have a variance that's acceptable and your legs have a variance that's acceptable from left to right. So when you look at that and you can see, is the variance within that acceptable range, then we're probably good. If it's at or exceeding, that's when we would start raising a little bit of flag and usually ask, like, have you had an injury on this side before? Yes, cool. This could be, you're still playing catch up for that, or you're still compensating. We have to work on intentionality around breaking those habits. If not, they could have one coming. You know what I mean? If you keep, compensating that much. But it's looking for those ranges. It can also be a good tool to tweak your training methods, right? If you're seeing those imbalances, and letting your coaches know to start to look for those things and help you out with that. But I do want to add in there that like everybody's a little lopsided. So if you do an InBody scan, like don't panic. It is very normal that we're not perfectly even. Unless
you're Sindel. Sindel's body scan was like to the point, whatever number, even on all parts.
Yeah, she.
It was crazy.
Sindel's also crazy, so I would expect nothing less.
Yeah, she's awesome. All right, so let's say you've got your InBody printout. What are the biggest 3 areas, or the most important, I'd say, 3 areas that you want a member to focus on?
So I typically look at the top one is like man, I wish I had a sheet in front of me because I can't remember now what they're called. I think there is the obesity analysis, which that is looking at the body fat percentage and your BMI. So those are the two sections in there. I like looking at that one because I love painting a picture of just how much you really should look away from the BMI. It's important to be aware of because the doctors, insurance, and all that stuff use it. But just like this scale, it paints one very high level picture and it doesn't tell you the whole truth, the whole story of what's going on. So for example, I'm pretty sure yours says you're obese because it only looks at your height and weight. So like if you're listening, you've probably seen Matt. The dude's got a 6-pack, probably a little bit of an 8-pack in there, but he won't tell you.
It's in the cooler right now.
yeah, whatever. So I think it's very clear that Matt is not obese, but his BMI says he's obese. His body fat percentage, the last time you did it was what, 6-7%?
No, I improved. I'm like 8 or 9 right now.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big win for me.
So either way, Matt has like 0 fat on his body. Let's just put it that way. So like it shows, I think Matt's a little bit of an extreme example, but there's many other people out there who have very similar results where their BMI says that they're obese, but their body composition is phenomenal. They're a very athletic person. So I often use that to paint a picture to be like, this is where we really want to look at, because when we change body composition, we're also changing health. Changing BMI doesn't necessarily mean you're changing health, because I've seen many people cut fat in very unhealthy ways just to improve that BMI, but then their body comp is going down the drain. And it's oftentimes their body composition will increase in a bad way because they're losing muscle to lose the weight, and that now they have more fat on their body, which is going to come a whole bunch of health issues down the road.
Yeah. All right, I want to look at body fat percentage ranges next and like adding a little bit of context to them. So how do you set context around body fat percentage for different goals? Think about like performance, aesthetics, and maybe just overall general health.
They each kind of have a slightly different range, and like you can go online and you can see the recommended ranges, but I always believe that every body is different. So we can start shooting for those ranges, but we always need to check in with how are you feeling? How is your sleep? How is your energy? Because maybe that range is not best for you. So don't get stuck in that if you're looking into it. But typically your aesthetics, I always struggle to say that, is going to have probably the lowest body comp, because then it's just strictly for looks. Like you're at like that bikini show level where they're super single digits, very low body fat percentage on an extreme example, but typically it's lower because you're going for the vanity. You want the abs, you want the muscles to show. Usually that comes with very low body fat if you are looking for that toned, defined look. Performance is probably going to be the next range up, depending on what performance you're looking for. If you want to be a power lifter, you're probably not going to, you're going to have a higher body fat content. Because mass moves mass, baby. But performance tends to be kind of like that mid range if you're truly kind of looking into that athletic zone, but it is going to be higher than the aesthetics because you do need fat on your body to fuel your exercise, and you do need to be eating enough to fuel muscle growth and recovery. So there's a little bit more body fat that comes with that. Then your general health is probably a notch higher, but even with that, they're all within a couple percentages of each other depending on the person. Which is why it's like, don't get stuck on those exact ranges, because your performance and your aesthetic is almost in the same place. Like your body's homeostasis is just in that 6 to 9% body fat range. Where mine, like my body performs best at 25% body fat. Man, would I love to be less, but like I just don't feel good. You know? And it's what's most important to you. At the end of the day.
I mean, I like that you said that, like what's most important to you, because like at a heavier weight, I'm more efficient with barbell movements. Like it feels better, I feel stronger. I can whip a barbell around, but it makes gymnastics a heck of a task.
One pound extra in gymnastics is terrible.
But all of a sudden, like, muscle ups or pull ups will go out the window and forget handstand push ups if I add weight. So there's a balance. There's a balance to be struck right in the middle. But looking at visceral fat specifically, the InBody flags visceral fat levels. What is visceral fat, and why does location matter for long-term health?
So visceral fat is located in your core, and it's primarily different from subcutaneous fat in the sense that it's it's alive, you could say. So it's releasing hormones into your system and other gunk. So having that being right on top of your organs is not the best. Like you're getting a direct shot of things that you don't want.
Yeah.
So it's important to, check your lifestyle habits to make sure that we're keeping your visceral fat level at a reasonable space. Everybody's going to have some. Women typically have more, right? Because we're designed to protect babies in our bellies and all that stuff. But in each space, there's a healthy and a not so healthy range of visceral fat.
Yeah. And if visceral fat's elevated, I mean, what are the first kind of levers that you would suggest to try to change instead of changing like everything at once? Like, what are the top couple levers you'd pull? I mean, like sleep, steps, training, what kind of stuff?
Yeah. To pick the first one, I mean, everybody is different. I'm usually seeing their food. First is always food. What's going on, right? Are you eating a ton of sugar? Are you drinking a bunch? Like, what are we looking at? Are your carbs through the roof? Quality of food, is it all processed or is it home cooked? So usually we're kind of navigating some of that stuff already in the sessions. So outside of that, I then check in with sleep. That's usually my next thing. How much sleep are we getting? All right. Are you getting 4 or 5 hours a night? Not so good.
Yeah.
All right. We want to shoot for that 7 to 8. Stress levels would be the next. How stressful is life? What are you doing to cope with this stress? Do you have any healthy mechanisms around that? And then also their activity level, because there's sometimes where people are working out so much that it's actually an unhealthy stressor on their body and contributing to the problems. So that I would say is my order of priority. We're already working on the food. Let's see what we got going on. Second, sleep. Third, stress. Fourth, workouts.
Yeah.
Because if your body is in a state of stress, adding more movement or adding more steps isn't always the best thing. But if those other things are all in check, and depending on where you're at in your stages of life, like if you're a female in is it perimenopausal? Premenopause? I don't know why I'm looking at you. Like you'd be like, yeah, it's definitely this.
Sounds great.
But yeah. If you're approaching menopause, sometimes, or like you have like PCOS or some sort of hormonal thing going on, sometimes focusing on a step goal is actually the best thing that you can do instead of the intense exercise. Step goals and strength training is, the best thing that you can do. So it definitely depends on the person and what they got going on, and kind of assessing that in the moment, and then giving them one bite at a time and working on that one thing. Because in most cases, if we're stacking on the visceral fat, it's either unhealthy food habits that are going on, again, unhealthy foods, processed foods, alcohol, or we got some major stress going on. And if it's the major stress piece, you definitely don't want to contribute to that. So it's, what is that one digestible piece that someone can take and start making healthy changes with?
Yeah. Don't pull all the levers at once. Just pick one of those in the beginning.
Whatever you do, you want it to be sustainable.
Yeah.
And going 100% isn't always sustainable.
No. How often should people retest on the InBody in like a meaningful way without kind of going into that obsession mode?
I personally think like once every 3 months is pretty good. The body typically likes 12-week cycles to see like major change. If you think about how long it takes you to understand the new program that you're in, whether it's food or fitness, and then adapt to it and then really get in the groove, every 90 days is probably a good space to actually know if what you've committed to is producing results.
Yeah.
Some people can do more frequently depending on what they're working on. But if you're going to go more frequently, I would definitely recommend doing it with a coach so they can keep you steering in the right direction and not have you falling into that obsessive trait, because it is very easy to do.
Yeah. Make sure it's healthy.
Yeah.
If skeletal muscle mass stalls for 2 months, how do you adjust training? I mean, do you look at adjusting volume first or intensity or exercise selection?
Again, depends on the person. Food could be another big piece in there too, right? Like maybe your training is solid, but you're not fueling, or like you can maybe, well, my food was working before, like, well, now you're entering into a new level. So now we got to increase the food, increase the protein, increase the carbs, and then we'll see some growth happen from there. Males are typically a little bit easier to figure that out with. Females could be having something hormonal going on, and call Emily. That's all I gotta say. Don't ask me, but call Emily if that's where you fit. But yeah, to your point too, like the training, like maybe the body just isn't responding well to whatever program you're on. Maybe you need more. Maybe you need less. Maybe you're overtraining. So there's a bunch of different factors, and I definitely did not prioritize them for you, but it kind of depends.
It is one of those questions where it's like, it depends. Because if you're hitting a stall or like a plateau, per se, it's always best in any of your training environments to just change one thing.
Yeah.
Don't change everything, kind of like what we talked about with the last question,
Mm-hmm.
but pull the lever somewhere, whether that is intensity, maybe pull it back or you push it forward. Same thing with volume as well. Volume is probably a very common one.
Yeah.
To change.
Yeah. And maybe, once again, maybe you're not sleeping good. Go get some sleep.
Yeah.
That's when your muscles recover.
If body fat percentage isn't budging, but skeletal muscle mass is climbing, how do you help members interpret that as a win and stay the course?
Man, that's like perfect.
Yeah.
Your skeletal muscle mass is improving and your body comp is staying the same. When you
your body fat staying the same.
Yeah, your body fat is staying the same, but muscle's going up, right?
Yeah.
So typically, like when you're gaining muscle, some fat comes with it. When you are losing fat, some muscle goes with it.
Mm.
They move together, but usually within a reasonable ratio.
Mm-hmm.
So if muscle's going up, but fat's not going with it, and it's just staying stable, nailing it. Like,
killing it.
Hoorah, tell me your secrets. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So I think that's great. And I think too, like, I do really want to emphasize that you will gain some fat with muscle.
Mm.
Like that they do go together. And I think there's a lot of people that come in with the expectation of like, oh, they move separately and I can just pull this lever and I'm gonna eat more protein and boom, I'm gonna get more muscle.
Right.
You're probably gonna get a little bit of fat with it too. Like you're eating more calories to support muscle growth. Like you don't typically gain muscle in a deficit. Yeah. So like you have to fuel for that, and finding that sweet spot of that ratio between your fat and your muscle is important if you want to also keep aesthetics in mind while you do it.
Yeah.
But hey, if you gain some fat with a muscle, that's what the bulk and cut cycle is for, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Doing it in a healthy way, you get a little extra meat on your bones, and then when you're ready, we cut it off. Again, some muscle's going to go with it, but it's the trend line is going in the right direction.
Right.
That's what you want to look for. But yeah, if your muscle mass is growing, your body fat is staying the same, you're crushing it.
You're crushing it. Keep it up.
I'm jealous. Yeah, keep going.
I'm jealous.
Tell me your secrets. That's all I gotta say.
All right. Everybody's favorite rapid fire myth busting time. Ba-dum-bum. Myth number 1. Scale weight equals progress.
Well, here's another one. It depends.
All right.
I can't say yes or no because sometimes yes, right? But and sometimes no, because what are you losing? You know, or what are you gaining depending on your goal? Like if you're bulking, is it a clean bulk or a dirty bulk? What's the ratio of muscle to fat mass that you're gaining? So it's important to figure out what it is. And honestly, if you can get on an InBody somewhere near you, preferably us, that'd be great. But do it and figure out what it is that you're gaining or losing, because again, it does not come close to painting the full picture.
Yeah, get the data, especially if you're somebody that's exercising or trying to be healthy. You got to know where the weight's going.
Yeah.
Is it muscle mass? Are you losing muscle? What's happening? Myth number 2: more fat loss is always better.
No, just because of the always, right? There's definitely people who probably need a little bit more on their body to sustain health, have their hormones at the appropriate levels, things like that. It's important. Every body has, I would say, a minimum. It's not an exact like you must have 10% on your body, right? Because every body is different, but there is definitely a minimum range to be healthy.
Yeah. We're going to skip myth number 3. Unstoppable challenge. Book an InBody scan and circle 3 numbers on the printout: skeletal muscle mass, body fat percentage, and visceral fat level. Then write 1 micro action for each one. For an example, maybe you're going to add 2 strength sessions this week, or you're going to strive for 8,000 steps a day, or you're trying to get to bed by 10 p.m. Small changes, big composition shifts. Remember, these numbers aren't verdicts, they're vectors. Use them to steer your plan. You're unstoppable by design. Ready for clarity instead of guesswork? Schedule your InBody scan at juggernaut-fitness.com. We'll talk you through the printout and translate it into a plan that fits your goals. Hit follow, drop a quick review if this demystified the data, and keep notifications on. New shows land every Tuesday. Next episode is a quick mini episode of top 5 mobility hacks to move better, lift better, and feel better. Until then, be well, be unstoppable.
Now's the moment, it's your time. What you need, true indeed, unstoppable by design. Yeah, ay, it's my time. Ay, yeah, it's my time. Ay, yeah, so unstoppable by design. Ay, yeah, it's my time. Ay, yeah, it's my time. Ay, yeah, so unstoppable by design. Ay, unstoppable by design. Juggernaut.